Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Crossing the Line. As always, I'm Sergio Cano, Matt Intrican, Brian Kilman. Fellas, how's your Valentine's Day weekend? Or Valentine's weekend? Whatever you want to call it.
No comment, Sergio.
No comment? Okay, no comment.
Right.
What about you, Brian?
Mine was all right.
All right.
A lot of ups, some downs, sure.
Okay, well, it's over now, so
Yeah, it's over.
I know that's a terrible holiday for a lot of people.
Glad I brought tissues
But
to the show.
yeah. Oh, look, you came prepared. Okay. All right. Well, let's kick off with a little bit of baseball, fellas. The MLB's been talking about some rule changes for a very long time. Some MLB rule changes that should be in the regular season this upcoming season is the 3-batter minimum, new roster limits, two-way player designation, and so forth. Brian, what do you think about these rules, and what exactly do these rules mean for the audience that doesn't know?
The first, probably most important rule is the 3-batter minimum for a pitcher, or they have to finish the inning. So that means we no longer are going to see a pitcher come in, throw 4 pitches, get 1 batter out, and then bring in another pitcher in that same inning. And for that rule in particular, I think it's a good rule. It speeds up the game. But at the same time, if your guy can't get it up there, if they bring him in, they need 2 outs, and he can't get it out, then you have to ride a guy who is doing very, very bad for a long time until he can get out of the inning. So I think, for the most part, it's a good rule. So we quicken up the game a little bit. But sometimes a reliever comes in and he is not doing it, and I think that's bad. In that case, you get stuck with just a guy who can't throw strikes or he can't get somebody out. The roster size one, in the regular, for most of the regular season, we're going to have 26 players on a roster rather than 25, which I think is good. No really comments there. But what really matters is come September 1st, every team has to carry 28 players. So we're not going to see the Dodgers and the Yankees of the world carrying 40 players in September before the playoffs, and other teams like the Marlins carrying 25. So I think that's good. Regulate it all, especially when it comes to September. I don't really care about an extra player on the team.
Right.
You can have an extra pitcher, or maybe a defensive guy, so that's fine. I think it's interesting they made a position player pitching rule because I didn't think it would matter. I don't know they need to make a rule for that. If you want to put a position player on the mound, I think you should be able to. And now, if you want a position player to play pitcher, they have to be designated as a two-way player. In order to get that designation, I think they had to make 20 starts in the field as well as, I think, 20 appearances on the mound or something like that. And the only exception to that rule is if the team's down 7 or it's an extra innings, then you can put a position player on the mound. And usually, if you got your second baseman pitching, you're down a lot, and you're just trying to get to the end of the game. So I don't know why they had to make a rule for that. I don't think it matters. If you want to put a position player on the mound, you can. The rule I like the most is they changed the injured list and the minor league options so that pitchers now, if they go on the injured list or they go to the minors, they have to stay 15 days instead of 10, which will take out some of the fact that teams were putting a pitcher on the injured list for 10 days. They bring up a new guy, get a fresh arm. So now 15 days is more than just one time through the rotation. So this will make it so teams have to stick with their pitchers a little more. Can't just bring in fresh arms all the time.
Wow. MLB analyst right there. Brian, Matt, talk to us about some MLB rules in the playoffs.
Yeah, so the MLB's talking about changing the playoff format a little bit, and there's way too many intricacies in it that I can't say it without being incoherent. So I'm just going to give you the gist here. It's that the top 2 teams from each league are all going to get a first-round bye in the playoffs, and the next 2 highest teams are going to get to pick their opponents. And the way that they pick their opponents, it's going to be on the night that the regular season ends, they are going to go on TV and pick the team that they want to play. And so this new format has come over a lot of heat. And you know what? I don't know why. I don't know why this format has so much heat on it, because I kind of like it. You know, because baseball's too boring, right? Baseball's too long, right?
Yeah.
And How can you blame Rob Manfred for trying to make the game a little more dramatic? It is a little bit weird that a bunch of old guys came up with the idea of making baseball mirroring reality TV. But you know what? I like it. But you know, baseball's not Avatar. It can't go on for 3 hours and still be entertaining.
Wow.
No.
But you know what? I like it. I think it'll be cool. It'll be fun. Let's give it a try. Why not? The baseball traditionalists of the world can, try something new. Broaden your horizons. Give it a chance.
Wow.
Sure.
So that should be exciting to see how that all plays out. Let's switch to a little bit of NBA. This past weekend was the All-Star break, which is nonetheless very exciting. And in particular, let's talk about something that ended in a little bit of controversy, the NBA dunk contest. Fellas, I'm not even going to put this as a question. If he got robbed, we know he got robbed. Shout out to DJJ. He has some great dunks, everything. But, Aaron Gordon got robbed. He had 5 straight dunks that scored 50. He cleared a 7-5 taco fall with barely any running, no running involved, actually. And he needed a 48 to tie, and he got a 47. Matt, please tell us a little bit more about that. I'm in awe, honestly. I am in disbelief, dumbfounded, flabbergasted, all the above.
I'm with you, Sergio. When Aaron Gordon loses by a point, I think this screams conspiracy, especially when the guy who gave Aaron Gordon a 9, Dwayne Wade, and of course, a famous Miami Heat player, gives the edge to fellow Miami Heat player Derrick Jones Jr. And D Wade, he's claiming that I wasn't the only judge who gave him a 9. But he should have known what giving him a 9 would look like. And you know what? This isn't the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. This is not the most serious decision in sports. This is Aaron Gordon's 3rd slam dunk contest. He earned it. When you're on the fence like that, when those two players both did sensational in the dunk contest, just give it to Aaron Gordon. Now he hates the dunk contest. He's never going to come back.
Yeah.
We need good dunkers because LeBron won't do it. So come
true.
on, why'd you
it.
got to do that? Come on, Common, Dwayne Wade. It's just, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, Sergio. In my opinion, it's I can see where Aaron Gordon, he said he's not coming back. He said it's over. He should have 2 slam dunk championships right now, and he has 0.
Yeah.
And if you can jump over a man who's 7 feet 5 inches tall, barely touch him, and dunk the ball, you should be able to win the dunk contest. And you know what the high jump world record is?
What's that?
7 feet 11 inches.
Oh, wow.
I think we should see Aaron Gordon out there because if he gets his high jump form in, he could. He basically broad jumped taco fall.
Yeah.
Almost no run up, and I didn't think that. Obviously, Aaron Gordon's dunk in 2016 when he jumped over the mascot of the Magic was a little more flashy, but the dunk he had when he bounced off the side of the backboard, that dunk, he jumped over taco fall. I think it's an atrocity that he didn't win this dunk contest. And Aaron Gordon has 8 50s in dunk contest history. That's more than Zach LaVine and Michael Jordan, who both have 7. He has 8 50s, and he can't win a single dunk contest.
It's also worth mentioning that Aaron Gordon, the jumps that he's making, he can dunk from the free throw line. He can jump over taco fall. I personally have tried to dunk from the free throw line. These things aren't as hard as they look. I'm sorry, they're way harder than they look. I couldn't even make it halfway. So, the things that Aaron Gordon has been able to do and the things he's been able to jump over and the lengths of things he can do, these things are difficult dunks. And also another thing is when it looks like every NBA star is saying on Twitter or whatever that Aaron Gordon should have won, I think there's a problem. LeBron, Luka, Joel Embiid, they're all on Twitter saying Aaron Gordon gets ripped off again, and there's a problem. So.
Yeah. DJJ, he had some great dunks, and I think what makes this even worse is that after that whole, controversy about the dunk contest, he went on and said, "I'm the best dunker in the world," blah blah blah, this and that, and almost the entire world, the entire NBA world doesn't believe that. He's a great dunker, athletic, but Aaron Gordon was just jumping out of the roof, and he deserves it, So, I mean, before we move on, what was your favorite dunk from him that night?
It had to have been the 360 one-handed dunk Aaron Gordon did.
Was it the side on the roof or side of the backboard?
Off the backboard.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite one too.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite, but I think bringing out Taco Fall is something. Everybody loves Taco Fall.
Yeah.
And jumping over him was a good addition, especially in the bonus rounds, sort of overtime of the dunk contest.
Dwight Howard had a nice little tribute too. That was nice.
Yeah,
a little Superman cape, 2-4. All right, well, let's talk about the Astros. Oh, the Astros. Their cheating scandal, not even a scandal anymore. We all know what happened. Has been out of this world. So, they've had a long time to prepare an apology, and a lot of MLB players are not happy with it, calling it a weak apology, and the lack of punishment just blew them away. Jim Crane said apology was weak. His Manfred, he was granted immunity by the MLB, and Crane said that our opinion is that it didn't impact the game. So, Matt, what do you have to say about it? Do you like their opinion? I mean, do you like their apology? Was it a good apology? For a lot of people, it wasn't. They didn't really say what they did.
Yeah, Sergio, I don't think the apology was good enough for me either. I think that you can tell when someone is desperate to be forgiven. And I think the Astros should be desperate to be forgiven when you're in a situation like this. You're pretty widespreadly hated by a lot of people in the baseball world, fans, players alike. I mean, the amount of heat that Justin Turner and Cody Bellinger and even Mike Trout has been given the Astros. You should be wanting people to forgive you. Although, despite what I said, I think having an enemy in baseball is good for the game. But, just say sorry. Just say sorry and pretend, act, get an Oscar for looking like you're sorry, like you regret it. And because everybody can tell that you don't regret it. Yeah. It seems you might do it again. If you could go back in time, you would probably do it again because you won a World Series. But so Houston should have learned from the characters in Fatal Attraction. When you cheat, just say sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Just say sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Be genuine about it.
That apology was so sad. Nobody thought it was legit. You had to be a real Astros diehard to say, "Oh yeah, they apologized. Now let's move on." Just so many things. Like Jim Crane came out and said, "It's our opinion that this didn't impact the game." Like, are you kidding me? When you know what pitch is coming, it didn't impact the game. And they played a lot. They played some close games against the Yankees and ALCS there. Right. They won the first 2 games by 1 run each. And the last game, obviously, we see Altuve walk it off. And it's just sad how their apologies came out. And to think Altuve's rounding third after he just sent his team to the World Series with a home run, and he thinks, "Oh, I shouldn't get my shirt or my jersey ripped off because my wife said I shouldn't," or, "Oh, I have this tattoo. I just sent my team to the World Series." And beyond that, we see a picture of Jose Altuve come out in the summer, and there's no indication he had a tattoo on his chest or on his collarbone area. And I might believe Altuve did it. When originally this came out, I said, "Oh, there's no way they were cheating like this." And then they were, and who's to say Altuve didn't have a buzzer on during that game against the Yankees?
Right. It's a shame. Their forever legacy's tarnished, and let's see how they recover from this, if there is such thing as a recovery from such a huge disappointment in the sports world. And like you were saying, Matt, they're receiving a lot of heat, and rightfully so. What do you guys think is next for the Astros? What can they do
I think there's a long time until any of those Astros players get respect. We'll see this season how good they can hit, because who's to say they weren't still stealing signs last season or the year before.
Right.
The investigation came out over the 2017 season, but who's to say they weren't still doing it this last season. So we'll see how who we thought are elite hitters, Altuve, Alex Bregman, Correa, George Springer. We'll see how they can do this year, especially at home when they aren't stealing these signs anymore. And I think a lot of people lost respect for these players. I think when any of them come to get a new contract, they are going to face the repercussions of this, even if the MLB didn't put it on them. No other team is going to pay them any amount of money that they think they might deserve, because it was a disservice to the game and a disservice to every other player who played in the MLB that year, especially in the Astros ballpark.
Right.
Here's the radical solution. If you want respect back, in Houston, and for yourself, if you're Jose Altuve, among other players who may or may not have cheated, Jose Altuve, you sit yourself out for an extended period of time, maybe the year, maybe half the year, but without being told to, without MLB making you, you just say, I want to own up to what I did. I want to take responsibility. I want to show people that I am truly sorry. And I know that just making a public statement won't be enough. So to show you that I'm sorry, I'm just going to sit out this season.
I think
Man
I
of
agree
ethical
that
codes.
I agree that they have to own up to something. I think what was sort of the worst thing is just how sad it came off that Altuve talked for 35 seconds. That's how long his apology. Alex Bregman, 37 seconds. That was his apology. And I did like how at the end of his speech, Alex Bregman said, I am sorry that I did this. He said, it's me. And I think he should have started it with that instead of saying, I'm sorry about what happened in 2017. It's like, who did it? The team did it. You did it. Everyone did it.
And that's the problem. They all say they're sorry, but then they go out and defend themselves. They say, we shouldn't have done it. It was a mistake. But this and this and this, we still won it fair and square. Carlos Correa said that the other day. We still deserve. We're still a good team. Just say sorry.
Right. It just
and
refutes
own up
everything.
to it. Don't defend yourself.
Right.
I think, once again, I'll say it, the Dodgers aren't the World Series champions. The Yankees aren't. One of them probably would have won the World Series that year, but it's unfair to say which one. I think ultimately the Astros aren't going to get stripped of their title. I think they could deserve it, but I think forever in history there's going to be that asterisk, even if just in people's minds, about this 2017 Astros team.
Right. Well, that was a little bit depressing. So let's talk a little bit about college hoops. Fellas, there's some great teams out there right now. Baylor, Gonzaga, Kansas, San Diego State, Dayton. They're the top 5 in a lot of polls, and rightfully so. Brian, who's the best team in college basketball right now, and why?
I think it comes down to what are you going to value more, offense or defense? Because we have some really good offensive teams, some really good defensive teams. San Diego State and Baylor are 4th and 5th in points allowed. Kansas is 8th in points allowed. All of those teams are in the top 5. But none of those teams rank in the top 70 for points scored.
Wow.
So they're not scoring a lot of points. And then you look at Gonzaga and Dayton, and they're 2nd and 8th in points scored, but their defense is sort of not keeping the other teams from scoring a bunch of points. And the hardest thing is to judge how these teams are going to play against elite teams, because San Diego State, Gonzaga, and Dayton are not Power 5 teams. They can only beat the teams that are put in front of them. San Diego State's undefeated, so you can't say, oh, they need to do this, they need to do that. They can only beat the teams that they play in the Mountain West. They had an impressive win against Utah this year. But let me tell you, Sergio, I think Baylor is the best team in college basketball right now. They're number 1, and like I mentioned, they're 5th in points allowed. They can play really good defense, and they beat Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse. Nobody beats Kansas when Kansas is at home. And I think just with the teams I've seen Baylor beat versus the teams San Diego State, Gonzaga, these teams are beating, I think Baylor's the best team. You can't lose games if you don't let the other team score.
Right.
Well, Brian, you make some good points, but I think that there's been so much inconsistency in the NCAA this year and so much unpredictability that you gotta like San Diego State. They're 26-0. They've got good wins against BYU, Iowa, and Creighton. And as you guys may know from my history on the show, I'm a believer. I like to believe in the underdogs. I believed in Jimmy Garoppolo and the like, but I just don't think I can do it today. I don't think I believe in San Diego State because listen, NCAA champions are almost unanimously Power 5 teams who have been there, done that, who have elite coaches who succeed time and time again and who compete with the best throughout the season and who are under the bright lights throughout the season. And when you get into March Madness and you're San Diego State and the nation's looking at you, I don't think historically you play very well. A team that is playing mediocre teams throughout the year all of a sudden has to play, maybe in the early rounds you play mediocre teams, but you're doing it in March Madness, you're doing it on nationally televised games, and all of a sudden you don't play so well. And then, who knows what happens when you get to the Final Four and the lights are brightest and you got players and coaches that are young, that are inexperienced, and you've got to make it happen when it means the most, and I don't think San Diego State is that team.
Right.
I think you have a good point. I think San Diego State hasn't been there, especially teams like Dayton and Gonzaga are not Power 5 teams, but Gonzaga has been a very good team for a long time. San Diego State didn't get a single vote before the season to be ranked, and to come out and be undefeated at this point in the season is an incredible feat. But San Diego State has not looked incredible in some games. They almost lost to San Jose State at home, last second buzzer beater, and San Diego State wins that game. But they can show up when they need to, and they can score from all over the floor. I think San Diego State's a very good team. I will say I think Kansas is the worst out of those teams, especially when it comes to March Madness. For a long time, I've said Kansas looks really good. I watched Kansas during the regular season. I said Kansas looks really good. And they never show up in March Madness in my lifetime.
Will this be the year?
Not for Kansas. Not for Kansas.
Sorry, Kansas people. Yeah, well, you guys made some excellent points there. Well, that concludes our show, unfortunately. But before we go, let's do our weekly shout-outs. So for me, shout-out to Bam Adebayo, center for the Miami Heat. He had a great All-Star break, playing the All-Star game, winning the Skills Challenge, representing the good city of Miami. So, yeah.
My shout-out goes to Josh Okohihei. I probably botched that pronunciation, but it's the thought that counts. I love this guy because he's the first Nigerian-born player to appear in All-Star Weekend. The NBA now has 6 continents down. We are just looking for our first Antarctican-born player.
Wow, he's a good player. He's a good player. So.
And for my shout-out, I was going to shout out the comeback of the beer snake. We saw it at the XFL game this weekend. XFL has been a lot of fun, and that is a long beer snake right there. That's a lot of cups they had to use to make that.
That is the beauty of the XFL, Brian.
XFL is something else for sure. Well, thank you everybody watching at home, and hope you guys have a wonderful week. See us next time. Hasta luego.